All right, everybody. We are learning Siman 313, and it has to do with binyan keilim. Just to review briefly what we said last week. Both.
I didn't bring the other one.
We were discussing binyan keilim. The halachas of building something that is a keilim. And we said that some say that binyan does apply to keilim, and some say it doesn't. Yesh binyan b'keilim or ein binyan b'keilim. There's a machlokes rishonim. But in any case, we said that everybody agrees that there is an isser of makeh b'patish with keilim. So regardless of what the isser is, if a person actually fashions a keli, we said that is a isser d'oraisa. The only difference that we said last time, although there are other differences, is as far as stira, if you demolish. Because if you demolish a keli, if you hold that there is an isser of binyan, then there's an isser of stira also, because the two go hand in hand. If you're not allowed to build it, you're not allowed to destroy it. Whereas if you hold that there is no binyan and it's just a makeh b'patish issue, and there is no issue with destroying keilim per se, there may be other problems involved, but there is no issue per se of destroying keilim because there is no opposite of makeh b'patish. In any case, we said that the definition of binyan when it comes to keilim is definitely looser than when it comes to karka. Things that are connected to the ground, or certainly the ground itself, there's a much more broad definition of binyan. Whereas when it comes to keilim, it's a much more narrow definition. Because in order for it to be considered binyan, it has to be a binyan gomer, it has to be a complete binyan, it has to be strong, it has to be done with in a professional way, tools and so on. Again, this is not makeh b'patish. Makeh b'patish should be chayiv, even not professional. But binyan would have to be a professional way. Yes.
Okay, but it's like the clay is finished, just one more touch and it's finished.
Right. I mean, that's the original makeh b'patish. But anything that completes the keli and makes it ready to use. It doesn't have to be a hammer. It doesn't have to be hitting it. It could be anything that allows you to use it. Final thing. So, we discussed putting back the hinges, a door into the hinges. We said that you could put back the bottom one if it came out partially, but not completely, and the top one not at all. And the reason was, even if you're not doing it with any particular strength, but nevertheless, it is possible to wedge it in a professional way, using tools, and therefore it is asur to do at all. We also discussed a kind of hinge that is only a one hinge that you kind of slide it into the hole, just like to hold it in place. We said that is mutter on Yom Tov, but not on Shabbos, even though it's an easy thing to do. It doesn't seem like a binyan, it doesn't seem like a makeh b'patish, but they said not to do it because you may end up doing the other types of hinges, except on Yom Tov for the purpose of being able to sell the products, because the storekeepers used to have these sort of hinges, they allowed it over there. So, just to contrast this with binyan of actual karka, because we said binyan karka is much more, expansive. So in this case, we said that the only reason you can't put the door in is because you might do it tight, and if you do it tight, that would be a isser d'oraisa. But really putting it in loose is not a big deal. So in contrast to that, when we talk about something that is mechubar l'karka, even something that is not very tight could be an isser d'oraisa. Even something that does not need professional tools. A very simple example. You have a screen door. Screen door that's on a track.
And it come out.
And it comes out, pops out. All you have to do is snap it back in. You put the bottom one in and then you snap it back in. Easy. Even somebody like me can do it.
It's called patish, Rabbi?
No, that's called binyan.
So
That's called binyan because that is actually attached to the building. Okay, it's not attached professionally. It's very simple to do, but that is still binyan.
What kind of door?
A screen door. I'm saying the same would apply to a real door, but real doors are usually takes a big deal to actually put it in. Yeah, you probably have to be professional, but these you can usually just push them back in if they come out.
You're allowed to
track.
The track, exactly.
You're allowed to take it and put it aside, so it will not.
On a sliding door.
It will not damage. It will not,
You mean is it muktzah or not? Is that your question? Is it muktzah? Could be it's muktzah.
It's muktzah?
Could be it's muktzah. It's discussed.
If you fall down, it's the kids, playing in front of the door.
Yeah, it's actually discussed in Siman Shin Ches.
For Mekomo, you need a Mekom to walk outside.
It is discussed in Siman Shin Ches. If a door comes out of its place,
But if it's emergency, you have to go outside and it's right away in front of the door. So
well, we haven't really started yet.
Shin Yud Gimel.
We were just doing some review. When we start, we're going to start from Tazayin in the Alter Rebbe and Vav in the Machaber. So
for Mekomo, it's right away, for emergency, if you want to go out or something.
Shomea, dalsis abayis and esporkum and abayis, ben esporkum b'Shabbos, ben esporkum keilim b'Shabbos, also letal talon, mipnei shlehay Hashem kli aleim me'olam.
What about if it's emergency to go outside?
What's emergency?
He fell down in the front of your door.
So step over. It's an emergency.
You damage it, Rabbi?
That's not an emergency. It's an emergency.
So you leave it over there.
You can kick it.
Kick it.
Kick it.
Oh.
You can kick it. You can move it kalach hayad.
Can I put with the foot, kick it, stand up? I play soccer good, I can do that?
Why not? I don't see why not.
Okay.
Emergency, you will go to the door.
I don't see what's the emergency. I mean, if you would have an emergency, yeah, but a screen door is not a dangerous object. I mean, I just don't see what the emergency is. But
through the door, saying it's stuck and you can't get out because the door's in the way.
Yeah, if it's an emergency, okay. Like all the whatever the halachas of emergencies are, but yeah. Okay.
The sliding door, you also said the sliding door? Not the screen of the sliding door.
I'm talking about the screen door that slides. That's what I'm talking about.
The screen of the sliding door or the sliding door?
No.
Anything.
The screen door itself. There's a door.
The sliding glass door.
No, I'm not talking about the glass door because that's obvious that to put it back is a big deal and that's for sure burn the door. So that's not a chiddush.
Put it back on its thing.
For sure. I mean, that's a big job. No question about
Even
it.
if you just have to go like this.
And,
sometimes it just goes up the track a little bit.
That's what we're talking about.
Like a shower door. Oh, a shower door. That's an interesting question.
My mom's house sometimes just like move it up.
Yeah, I was talking about a door, like a regular door.
Any
shower
sliding door.
No, a shower door is an interesting question. I think, yeah.
First of all, it's Shabbat, you don't allow to take a shower anyway, so.
Okay, but whatever. You want to put it back, just interesting
And what
question.
about sliding door to close the door for Ganavim?
Interesting question.
The screen door isn't going to do much for you.
I mean, if the door, not screen door,
The screen door.
The shower door is not going to do much either.
It's a sliding door, Rabbi. Also the same.
Shower door is not going to do much either.
No, I'm talking about the sliding door
The
before the
real,
screen.
that's
also.
for sure there I said. That's for sure there I
See,
said. No question about it.
Glass. What else?
Shower door comes off. It could be satana because of the season.
Could be. I mean, depending on the situation. But I'm talking about if it's not a sakana. It's definitely asr. Is it an isur daraisa? Could be. I don't see why not.
I have another
Put it back on its thing. Why is that building? Is that I guess I don't know about building.
No, I'm saying the definition of binyan when it comes to houses is it doesn't have to be a binyan gomer. Even a binyan garua, even a simple act of binyan is chayav. But
Put a painting back instead is fine.
yeah, because that's not part of the house. That's not part of the house.
Why does it last?
That's part of the house. That's it's a functioning. It's a functioning part of the house. It's not like a picture. It's just a decoration that sits there.
What about paper? I have a paper towel in my house that you have to unscrew the top, like a lot of times, maybe like 15, 20 seconds.
It's attached.
It's screwed.
No, but is it attached to the?
Yes.
It's attached to the counter.
No. Paper towel roll you can move wherever.
Oh, so
There's
that's not cargo. Well, anything that's not attached to the ground has a different definition. Anything that's not attached to the ground has definition of binyan keilim, and there it's more lenient. So that's not
Like a cup.
that's not a binyan gomer. That's made to open and close. That's an example of something we learned today. It's like a cap of a soda bottle. It's made to open and close. That's the way you use the soda bottle. So that's okay.
Oh, so it's okay for the soda?
To open the soda bottle, yeah. I'm not talking about the issue with the first time you open it and you break I'm just talking about regular use. Open, close, open,
The first
close.
time open is a...
Achlaikis, many are lenient, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the very
You
fact.
can lean on someone, so it's okay?
Sorry?
You can lean on someone, it's okay?
We'll learn
We're
about
going to
it.
learn about it. Shin Yudal. Next.
Shin Yudal.
Next thing.
Shin Yudal. So, the
Toilet paper that you cannot replace it, that we said last week.
How can you replace it? How can you replace toilet paper? We said that?
Yeah, because they have like this hinge that you have to
It
press.
touched to the wall, it touched to the wall, this is not touched to
I
the
said you
wall.
can't?
Because it touched to the wall, Rabbi. It
I
touched
remember
to
saying
the
that.
wall.
We spoke about it. I forgot what you said.
Yes,
I'm in
we spoke,
trouble
we
now
spoke.
because I came across that it's mutter.
Rabbi, it touched the
And I
wall.
came across that it's mutter, and I'll tell you why. Because it is made to go in and out. So it's not considered like you're putting it.
This one is not actually made to last, it's with a cap, so it's not gonna come out. The way you can use a paper towel without.
One second. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. No. One thing at a time. You're talking about the paper towel roll, the bathroom. You know what I
No,
mean?
that's not the paper towel. That's the toilet paper.
Toilet paper roll.
Yeah, he's
That's
talking
what
about the
you're
toilet
talking about. That's
paper
what
and
you
you're
asked about.
talking about the
Toilet paper. I mean, you can't use toilet paper on Shabbos anyway. It's muktzah. What's the point? But I'm saying something like that, which is made to snap in and out. That's not called binyan. That's called using. Just like, for example, very simple example, when you open a door, nobody says you're breaking the wall. You're mamish making a hole in the wall. When you close the door, you're pasha fixing the house, you're fixing the wall. No, nobody says that because that is the way the door is made to open and close. When you open it, you're using it. When you close it, you're using it. So this sort of thing, that's made to take in and out whenever you need. That's not considered building. So 1 second, the paper towel roll is the same thing. Same thing. The toilet, no, the paper towel roll.
Paper towel.
Saying you unscrew it to be able to put a new one in. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the top.
Yeah,
like the roll.
Yeah.
So
And then you screw it. I mean, again, paper towels are muktzah, so it's not a practical question. But I'm saying a theoretical question. If you have a
let's say a person,
non-muktzah
let's say a
item, that
person
you,
wants to use. Let's say a person needs the paper towels. He,
Kind of
Shabbos?
I
Shabbat.
remember learning that
For
if you
Shabbat.
do it with shingling and not the derech of the lines, you're allowed to use it.
nah.
Cut it with a shingling.
Nah, that's if you're in the bathroom, you're stuck. Stop the kitchen. What do you need it for? Use napkins. Use a towel.
I mean, like, was that on it?
Use a towel. I mean, what's
Said something like dirty. Why do I want to use a towel for dirty?
because it's Shabbos. Because it's Shabbos. That's it. There's a heter, kalach yad, and not on the lines in the bathroom, but not stop.
Cover the bridge.
Other beers, exactly.
Rabbi, I'm asking that question because if I'm in a synagogue on Shabbat and sometimes it's rushing because it's a red stomach, okay? They got roll for toilet paper and you got a small piece I cannot sit on the unless I'm cleaning the toilet, the side. So if I'm rushing, I allow to take it to clean it, or I have to go slowly. But this is it's like
אני לא מבין את השאלה.
השאלה שלי ככה, יש להם טוילט פפר גדול. אני יודע ששבת יותר טוב לחתכות הקטנות האלה. אבל יש להם כאלו קטנים ככה, מרובעים כאלה קטנים. להוציא אותם כזה ככה.
So what do you want to do? Clean it.
I have to clean the toilet.
So you can clean it without breaking the thing. Take a bunch, don't break it, just clean it and leave it there. Don't rip it.
Oh.
That's okay.
בשינוי ככה?
No, don't rip it. You don't have to rip it. This I use is you just used it to clean.
No, it's going to be on the floor.
No. The floor.
No.
Shabbos.
בשינוי רבי? שינוי?
No. I'm not mater. It's not covered up brias. It's not covered up brias.
So why doesn't someone just use toilet paper and leave it on the floor?
On the floor is not covered up brias. But I'm saying to leave used smelly toilet paper.
Use smelly.
It's smelly. It's.
What's he wiping off of there? He's wiping urine.
No, he's wiping bacteria.
What if there's urine?
I don't know. I got a head there. It's not I, but Rav Deitch says that in general, when it comes to using toilet paper, or for that matter, I'm pretty sure the same thing would apply to paper towels. I think I've said this here. That if you use it first and then rip it, then there's no problem because you're not creating anything functional.
It's like it's.
The whole problem is it's a tikkun kli.
Yeah.
But if you need it,
So
because the whole point is tikkun kli. You're making a kli. Besides the issue of machatach, you know what I mean, cutting in a measured way, which you can cut off the lines. But if you're cutting just stem, you're making a functional keilim. You're making a square or whatever it is to use. But if it's used already, nobody's reusing it. So maybe the same thing here.
So here is a good idea. Just a lot of stuff clean and it's already no good.
Okay, maybe.
Baruch Hashem.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
Don't need it.
I'm not sure. Yeah, go ahead. Anything that comes up and down all the time, like in a normal thing, is mutter.
What about the screen? Rabbi, the screen.
You want that to stay for 20 years.
Yeah.
The screen door also, it's coming up and down.
I don't know.
The screen.
If it's not the function of it, then it's not so simple. It's not the function of it. For example, he says here in the 39 Malachos, if you have the bracket that holds in, you have the toilet paper, the rolls, they snap in, and they're held in by the metal. The metal snaps onto a bracket. You know what I mean? It's like a metal bracket that's attached to the wall, and the metal prongs snaps onto a bracket. I'll show you. Here's a picture here. So that is a much bigger shaila because that's not meant to come on and off. And that, he says, is absolutely asr.
For the toilet paper?
What holds the toilet paper? The bracket.
Is a spring. Plastic spring, it's called. Robert was talking about the bracket holding and touching the wall.
I'm finding it at this moment. Okay, but you know what I mean, yeah? So that's it. Yeah.
The door, screen door, come outside. Sometimes you don't need to, you have to put it back. You just close it and leave it like it is.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay, right?
I think so. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Siri.
I don't know if this is visible,
I see.
but here you have, this is the toilet paper actual stick that holds it. And this is the bracket that attaches this to the wall. You cannot snap that piece back into the bracket. Yeah? I mean, you don't do it often, but if it comes out, you do it.
Usually attached to the wall with screws.
Okay.
No, but sometimes you can wedge it back in, even without the screws. You can sometimes wedge it back
But
in.
today this bracket, Rabbi, is touching really good with the tight, with the
With
screws.
little screws. But
Yes.
sometimes you can push it back even without the screws.
Really? So
Anyway, whatever. It's not allowed anyway.
What about all the models and toilet paper
It's
holders?
like with screws, it's for sure also, no question about it. But that would be also even for detach from the back. Sorry, go ahead.
no.
What about all the other models of toilet paper holders?
I have to put the speaker up. It's already up, but I'm not hearing you.
The other
One more time,
models of toilet paper holders?
Toilet paper holders, yeah.
The other types, not just the one that snaps in?
What type? I don't know what you mean.
Like the one with the spring, the little bar.
The stick, take out the stick, that's fine. Because that's just the function. That's the way you use it. You're meant to take it in and out. Okay. I didn't daven yet. No, I'm happy to daven now. Okay. Okay, we're going to learn 16 in the Alter Rebbe before we continue in the Mechaber. Thank you. Okay, here goes. L'chol zeh lahachzir hadlosos. Tazayin. Ken. Aval litel hadlosos me'akeilim mutar b'chol inyan. Em einon tikun ben b'choizek. Ve'im b'zeh mishum soisim le'she'im b'nim l'stir b'keilim. Amem tikun b'choizek if because mishum soisim k'moshi yizbar. Okay, all the above applies to returning the doors and refixing them in place. It is, however, permitted to remove doors from storage units in all situations, as long as they're not inserted forcefully in place. Prohibition against demolishing does not apply because the forbidden labors of building and demolishing do not apply with regard to keilim of any type. However, the doors are firmly embedded within the units, separating them does involve the forbidden labor of demolishing, as be explained. Okay, listen carefully. If you have a door attached to a keilim,
Attached to
a keilim, like
something like this.
unless it's a big keilim, we're going to learn soon what big means. And it's not attached very tight. It's on hinges, but it's not very tight. So now, to put it in, we said you're not allowed because maybe you will attach it tight. Okay. But when it comes to taking it out, you're not going to, there's no gzeira that if you take this out, this one is not tight, you'll take a different one out that is tight. That's not gzeira. The gzeira would be if in this action itself, you could do it in two ways. You could do it in a loose way or a tight way. Don't even do it in a loose way because you may come to do it in a tight way. And we're going to see later, maybe if this keilim cannot be made tight ever, maybe you could be makel, we'll see later. But I'm saying it's all about this situation itself. But we don't say, don't do this now because you're going to do something else later, more tight. We're worried about this situation. So if you take out the door of a keilim that is not tight, that is not stira. Again, there is no opposite of makav patish, so it's nothing. It's nothing as far as that's concerned. It's not stira because doing it would not be binyan. Putting it loosely would not be binyan. Now, putting it loosely is not permitted because you may do it tight, but it's not binyan. You understand? It's exer. So taking it out is not stira, and there's no reason to make a decree not to do it. So therefore, it's allowed. That's an interesting chiddush. Okay. It's very quiet.
So this whole
We're
halacha.
going to get to it soon. Let's leave what I was going to get to soon. I'm sorry?
You're saying this halacha itself is a chiddush.
It's a chiddush. In other words, this same action is forbidden to do, but it's permissible to undo. It's forbidden to do midirabanan because it could lead to an isser d'oraisa, but it's permitted to undo because that could not lead to an isser d'oraisa. Okay, moving right along in Yud Zayin of the Alter Rebbe. Shnam Shasu'u, it makes it d'Rabbanan. Doesn't make it mutter. If two people do a malacha that would normally take one person to do, that's an isser d'Rabbanan. You understand? It's not mutter l'chatchila. I mean, generally, an isser d'Rabbanan b'shinu is also awesome. Like a double d'Rabbanan is also awesome. We actually had an exchange about this, I think. Shvus to shvus, at least according to the Alter Rebbe, the only shvus to shvus that's mutter is amir l'nachri, not a regular shvus to shvus. You know what I'm saying? Amir l'nachri to do it d'Rabbanan. You showed me other opinions. I'm sorry? I never looked into that. I think it's a mistake when I looked into it. I have to look into it. It wasn't a Bavadia. It was whoever wrote the Sefer based on a Bavadia. Or was that a Bavadia itself?
No, it was...
Was that a Bavadia? Yeah? I have to look at it. Okay. So... Yeah, I'm remembering that I saw, but I never looked into it. Okay, but whatever. I'm not gonna say 100% until I do that. But in any case, let's continue with your Zayin. Avodel shel bayis b'shel bor v'dus. A door of a house or of a storage pit or a cistern. The difference between a storage pit and a cistern, by the way, in halachic terminology, is that the storage pit is just a pit in the ground. That's a bor. And a dus is it's built into the ground. It has like wood or cement. Dus. Dalet vav stuff. He translates it as a cistern. Cistern. It's basically it's like a bor, but it's built into the ground.
What's the use of this? Garbage?
No, whatever it's used for, no, it could be used for storage.
Like tornado, they used to go inside.
Yeah, it's like a basement.
Is it above the ground level or?
No, it's below the ground, but it's binyan. It's built in. It's a hole in the ground, but it's built with walls and whatever. Anyway, oishal keilim hamechubar b'karka, or of keilim that are connected to the ground. Going lul shel tanagolim shu kli mechubar b'karka. For example, a chicken coop, which is a kli that is connected to the ground. Also, ben little ben lahachzir. It's forbidden whether to take or to put back. Shekol davar mechubar b'karka. This is what we were saying before. Anything that is connected to the ground, yesh by binyan stira, has the laws of binyan and stira, and it doesn't necessarily have to be tight, like we said. I'm reading note 59. If you have the Alter Rebbe, anybody have the Alter Rebbe here? No, I'm the only one. No, that's the Hebrew. I'm sorry. Anything that sits on the ground or attached to the ground? Screws, nails, glue, attached. So, for example, he says here.
Well, let's say not for if you have a shed in the backyard, you're not
A shed.
It's not connected ceiling.
Oh, we're going to see later. If it's very big, it's considered mechubar l'karka. If it's okay, we're going to see. I'm just going to read 59. If you happen to be following in the Alter Rebbe's English version, note 59 says, even though the hinges are not forcefully inserted in place and are easily removed, it is prohibited to remove the doors of these structures, unlike the doors of keilim, discussed earlier. Lefikach, ma shenoeg besudas gedolos b'meisacham litlach alenes al yedei nachri lo yafehem boisim shemetulas benetila zu yesh chiv chadas liYisrael shuseis lo naslu b'Yisrael asel lachzir nachar kach. And King Shem Enough is a Shvus Gomer. Vena Shvus to Shvus Shetir B'Makam Mitzdark, which those Siman Zayin. All right, in those few lines, we touch upon many subjects. After Shabbos. After Shabbos. You're taking it out now, and you're going to put it back after Shabbos. Doesn't make a difference.
On his own.
Who said on his own?
Let's say.
Let's not say. Okay, listen carefully. The Alter Rebbe is telling us a lot of very important information. So he says, what they used to do before they had air conditioning, in a big meal, a lot of people, gets hot, so they would have windows that they would actually remove the entire window from the frame. They would simply take out the whole window. Now, of course, they would want to put that back because generally at night and whatever, they wanted it closed. And even during the day, if it wasn't so packed with people, it would normally, the window would be in the frame. So on Shabbos, unfortunately, some people would ask a goy to take it out. If it was too much of a crowd, it was hot, they would ask a goy to remove those windows. One second, let me finish explaining. Alter Rebbe says it's also to do that. And now he gives us some information as to why it's also. So we know that there's a concept of shvus deshvus. Shvus deshvus means you can have a goy do something that's only asa midrabanan in a case of a mitzvah. And some say also in a case of great need, like mitzvah, like you're in pain. So here, let's say this is called mitzvah. Everybody's very hot. Okay. So that's like a great need. Okay, so if it would be an Issa Rabbanon, there would be room to allow it. However, the Alter Rebbe says, this is an Issa D'Oraisa. Why? Because when it comes to anything connected to the ground, even something not tight, putting it back or moving it is binyan. And now, the Alter Rebbe introduces another concept, which is that in order for it to be a Chiyuv D'Oraisa, the stira has to be on the nas livnois, just like in the Beis Hamikdash. In the Mishkan. When they took it apart, it was with the intention of putting it back together. So to be chayev on Shabbos for demolishing, it's only if it's with the intention of putting it back together, or not even that same exact thing, but something else in its place. Like they knock down the old apartment building nowadays, and they build a nice new condo building, machaya. So that's an example of say. So when I say this, that is a positive action. The destruction of the old building is positive because it's leading to the new building that's going to replace it. So this is called soiser amanas livnois bimkoimai. You're removing it and you're going to put it back in its place. So that is an issur d'oraisa for a Jew to do. So therefore, to ask a goy to do it is only one shvus, which is not allowed just for mitzvah. That's the principle we learn. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Yes.
Anything it doesn't allow us to do, you cannot say that the God.
No, I didn't say that. Because you cannot do an Issa D'Rabbanan, but you can ask a goy to do an Issa D'Rabbanan in a case of need. So it's not everything.
Everything is need, right?
What?
Everything. You see it's hot. It's need.
Again, an Issa D'Rabbanan, you can ask a goy to do in a case
AC is Rabbanan or Raita?
Not look it. Could be D'Rabbanan. Could be. That's a good example. It's hot. You can ask a goy to turn up the AC. Like the most place can. Not going to say everybody agrees if Chazanish is strict, electricity, whatever, but most places come out there. On the other hand, lights are Nissa D'Oraisa, so that's much more strict.
Light is the right one.
Yeah.
Perhaps LED was only the wrong.
LED is only the Rabbanan L'chora, so maybe nowadays it's different. It would seem to be different. But incandescent light bulb is D'Oraisa. An LED, if it doesn't give heat, if the light does not give heat, then according to many poskim, it's D'Rabbanan. It's only light and heat that creates fire.
So my question, I remember I asked that once if you left the light in the kid's room on, and it's very difficult for them with the light on.
Right.
Would you be able to shut off its LED?
Goy?
Or go?
Well, here's something good to know about when it comes to putting out the light. Putting out a light is Rabbanan anyway, because it's not Machaba, there's no Becheles, whatever, the whole thing. But in any case, when it comes to extinguishing a light, there is no benefit that you get from extinguishing the light directly, no bodily benefit. Because the darkness is an automatic result, but it's not, putting out light doesn't create the darkness. So therefore, when it comes to that sort of thing, you can always hint to the goy, and that's the easiest way. That way you can, it could be that it's allowed to say directly in a case of kids and whatever, a case of need, whatever, but without even getting into those details. If you just tell the goy, I don't need this light anymore, and he turns it off, you don't have to stop him, because you're not getting direct benefit, bodily benefit.
What's happening if you don't have
So that you could do even stam. Even if it's not a tzarech gadol and kids or anything like that.
9, 10 o'clock, you don't have a goy, you look in the street and nobody goes there. And the kids, like you said, they don't sleep.
Shabbos.
Shinu? ילד קטן?
ילד קטן אולי. ילד קטן אולי, יש מקום להתריע על ידי ילד.
The fan is the same halacha, different than the light at the fan?
No. Oh, the fan is more like AC.
AC.
Yeah.
What about let's say, a person didn't know the light is bad? Is it difficult for him to use the restroom with that and the light on? Not because of the bodily needs, but just because it's there is things, if you are sitting on something or finished, whatever, checking yourself. And so if it's LED lights, you'd be able to ask the boy to turn on the lights directly.
Could be. Could be that's a tzarech bottle. Could be.
That's not true.
I'm pretty sure that the lashon is tzarech bottle. I'm pretty sure.
There's a Jewish infomercial with the benefits of having LED lights on Shabbos.
Yeah.
So the car outside is like the light.
Tzarech harbe. The Machaber says tzarech harbe.
I'm not concerned that we can do something with LED light that we might do with a regular light.
It's heat. It's hot.
You could say that about any Siddur Rabbanan. You can say, why can you ask a goy to do this and not that? You know what I'm saying? You can always say, well, if you ask him this, you ask him that. Chacham gave certain leeways for certain situations, and they hope he won't abuse them. Okay. Now, in defense of those that did this, after all, there were some people that did it. Masha noyagim out there, those that customarily do this. So here the Alter Rebbe gives him a bit of a defense. Listen carefully. Okay, some say when it comes to this demolishing or destroying, you're only chayev if your intent is to build something better in the same spot. Not the same. Because then you didn't accomplish anything. Well, what was the purpose?
So the window, take it out and put the window.
That's the same.
The same.
Exactly. So according to that opinion, this is only the Rabbanon. And therefore, according to them, it's a shvus to shvus. In the case of Mitzvah.
So the screen, the same thing, Rabbi, I'm not changing it. I just took it out.
No, that's not stira. That's binyan.
No.
That's binyan. That's
I
putting
take it
it back.
outside and I put it in.
Taking it out is an Issa D'Rabbanan, according to this opinion.
So the window
As an Issa D'Rabbanan, and for a goy to do a D'Rabbanan in the case of Mitzvah, That's what we're talking
For
about.
the goy, it's okay.
For the goy, in the case of mitztaer,
Mitztayer, mosquitoes come into my house. Mitztayer me'od.
1 second.
Yeah, well,
You're talking about putting it back. Putting it back is deraisa.
so the window, what's going on with the window to put it
The
back?
window putting it back is also deraisa. Here he's talking about taking it out. Taking it out is stira.
But they're going to put it back, Rabbi, before they go to
After
sleep.
Shabbos. After Shabbos.
After Shabbat? All night it's going to be open?
No, this is Shabbos afternoon, you're having a Sheva brachas. A lot of people, not enough air. You take out the window. You tell the guy, not you. You take out the window, and after Shabbos, they'll put it back.
Okay, but they don't put it in Shabbat back.
No.
Okay.
No, to put it back is the deraisa for sure. So, yeah, the binyan is a binyan. The stira may not be a stira.
You said before, stira is the one, so the binyan would be.
I said before, if there's no binyan, there's no stira.
Not the stira is the one in the binyan.
Yeah, I don't think so. This detail I don't think applies. That just like stira has to be to make it better, the binyan is making it better. Because the stira, if it's not making it better, so maybe it's not a constructive act. Because what's the point? You may as well just leave it. But the binyan is a constructive act because you're actually making it better from the moment to go. You see what I'm saying? To do one isser, to do an isser d'oraisa through a goy for a hefsim, I don't think so.
If you ask the goy to ask the goy, he does it the shir.
Asking a goy to ask a goy, Shlomo Zalman says is a shus tishmus.
Rabbi,
Doing it
it's the same thing,
b'shinui,
right, Rabbi?
I think is also. I don't see why not.
Tell the goy to tell the goy,
No, that's already 3.
Oh,
Tell a goy, that's it. That's 2. That's all you need.
it's all good.
You cannot
Yeah.
use it like
So-
keilim rishon kli sheni, Rabbi.
Why not?
Because it's the goy, it's the goy. It's the same thing you do the first goy, the 5,000 goys.
Atamer?
Saying 5,000. And
You didn't tell the second one.
What do we know what those things that you're talking about? That makes sense. If the only thing, let's say, if the window itself is open with some wood, and open and just to get fresh air. But the only way is not to take this bladder out.
No. We're not talking about one that was made to use by putting in and out all the time. Talking about the normal function of it was to open it, not to take it out. When they had a big meal, understand, with too much heat, then they would take it out. I'm not talking about a shutter that you open and close all the time. That's not us.
Didn't have tzirim, Rabbi, in that time?
I'm not talking about Syria.
No, for like the door, like they didn't have that.
Yeah, they had it. Sure, they had it.
So some of them they don't have it. Like you take it the window, right? It's too much.
You open all the way.
No,
No, they had it. They had a way to open it, but exactly, it didn't open all the way. And when it was too hot, they took the whole thing out.
no, the way Rabbi mentioned that you take the window out. It's not
No.
tzirim over there.
No, I'm not talking about a window that's not that you can't open. You can open it, but here they don't want to open it. They want to take it out to allow more air to come in. That's the problem. If it would never open, if this is the only way to open it, obviously that's the way you use it.
I
And
think
the way you use
if
it
you
matters.
open a window, the wind going inside better than no window.
Obviously not these windows. These windows were not like that.
חלון, שאתה מרים אותו, מתעוררים רק חצי, אז רק נפתח ככה. אם יותר אבל, מוצאים גם את החלק העליון. אז יש לך שלוש תפתח.
אני לא חושב שזה היה דאבל ככה בתקופה ההיא. אני לא חושב.
במקום
אני לא חושב שזה היה ככה.
All right, לפיכך. לפיכך, my friends. Therefore, you should not protest against those that are lenient, because they have on whom to rely. But every person should be strict for himself, like the first opinion. Because that's the main opinion. Also, the populace at large should be warned, for there are many who err and remove the fourths of windows called quarters from the windows without knowing that this violates the prohibition. So the Alter Rebbe says, even if we don't stop the people who ask a goy, revi'iyot zahaya chalon kazeh in 4 quarters, French door, right? 4 sections. So sometimes the people themselves, not even the goyim, they would take out the window pane of one of the 4 to let the air go. And that's a big issue for a Jew to do himself. You understand? There's no heter for that.
It doesn't make for that.
No, that wasn't the way it was made to function. So that's a big problem.
So another time, if you open the window.
Sure. Sorry?
Another time, open the window.
Open the window, you can do. You can't take it apart, but you can open it.
Some windows, like, like locked up, so like some kind of lock. You unlock it and you push it outside.
Yeah, if that's the normal way to use it, then it's okay.
All right, so
And also like this, like lock it and open, and then so people.
I'm sure at that time they would consider that when you open a part of the window, if you divide it in 4, so the river has use only one.
They didn't have Sirin again.
No, if the way to use the window is to take it out and in, then it wouldn't be awesome. Then it would be the same as a door, and so on. But we're talking about windows that are not normally removed. The person who removes such a window is doing an issue.
And then there's always like that.
No, I don't know exactly what this last case is. Quarters where they would not normally open it, and sometimes, only sometimes. I'm not really familiar. Okay, and now we learn what we mentioned before about large keilim. Even keilim that are not connected to the ground. If they are so big that they hold 40 saw, which is 1 amma by 1 amma by 3 ammas. Not very big. 1 amma by 1 amma by 3 ammas. I don't know. Close. Amma by 4.5.
but 16.
Somewhere after that, little bit bigger.
Close.
Yeah.
Maybe.
4.5.
Yeah.
This is much smaller than 4.5 feet.
Tall?
No, 4.5 feet. 5'9".
Yeah, it's probably not tall enough. You're right. So these, anything that has that measurement, which is, by the way, the minimum measurement of a mikveh, because that amount holds enough water to be able to cover the average person. Here's the concept. The average person is 3 ammas plus his head. Average person.
How many inches is an amma?
About 1.5 feet.
1.5 feet?
Yeah. So
1836, 54, 54.
54 plus the head. So not quite 6 feet.
6 inches is a person?
No, it's like 9.
Plus the head.
5'10". No, 5'10". 5'10" is not measuring. It's a plastic.
Talking about
54 inches.
55 inches.
Plus that.
55 inches plus the head. How
No,
much is the head? 10 inches?
Imavos.
No,
plus
plus that.
Yeah, bro.
Plus that. Plus that.
How many feet are there?
Plus that.
How big's the head?
It's about 5, 8.
9.4 inches. Height of an average human head is 9.4 inches.
Almost 10. Almost
That's
10.
good.
Like you
So
said.
54 plus 9. Oh,
We said 3.
yeah, 54 plus 9.
9.4, that's 64.
Without Bulgaria, it's 10.
Anyway, the kids are, when you have enough water to fill 3 amas by one, and you fit into that hole your body, that will make the water level rise up to cover your head as well. Amen?
It's 5 and 3 and 3.5 inches. 5 foot 3, 5 foot 3, 5 foot 4.
In Chazal, they had short people. If there's different opinions. There's different opinions about an amma. I gave you the smaller share. The Chazan Ish. Yeah, that's the smaller share. The Chazan Ish.
I also heard 16 recently.
The Chazan Ish
I
holds.
said 16, there's a post from Liquid said something with Zuzah. 16 inches.
No, who said 16 inches? An amma is 18 inches.
I also heard 16 recently from a post.
Mine was
that
18
said that
inches.
there was a lot of showering.
16 and 18, depends on the set.
No, amma is 18 inches. $18.9 inches. It's 19 inches. It's 19 inches. Abraham Chaim, no. That's the smaller shear. According to Chazon Ish, it's 24 inches.
2 feet.
It's bigger.
Now it
It's
makes
bigger.
more sense. It's like
It's bigger. It's closer to 6 feet.
5, 8, 5, 9.
Yeah, it's closer to 6 feet. Okay, the kitzer, when you put your body, if you have a hole in the ground that is 4 amas tall, let's say, and 3 amas of it, it's 1 amma by 1 amma wide, it's 3 amas full of water. If you would lower yourself into that hole, it would raise the water level up and it would cover your head. That is the minimum shear of a mikvah, 40 so. That is the amount of water that fits into 1 by 1 by 3 amas. Because that is the amount that would cover the average person.
But it's so tight. If you go
You
inside,
can make it bigger. The
you will not
Vakasha.
be-
This is minimum. This is minimum. This is minimum.
Water, not just volume of the hole.
Exactly. It has to be able to hold more than that. It has to be able to hold more than that because otherwise it's going to overflow and it's not going to cover you. So the height of it has to be bigger, and when you go in, it raises the level. Anyway, that's one concept of 40 saw. Another concept of 40 saw is that any keilim that is that size, because it can be filled up with stuff, and then it becomes very heavy. It's impossible to move. Not impossible, but it's difficult to move. So people generally leave it in that place. It becomes considered mechubel lakarka, halachically mechubel lakarka. So much so that it's not makabel tumah, which is a da'araisa halacha. So just like that applies to that din of tumah, it also applies to Shabbos in terms of it having the status of karka. Because it doesn't move, it's considered like part of the karka. And therefore, let me read it again. Counting the space of the walls, however, not counting the legs and the surrounding rims. Meaning to say, the wall counts because the whole point is that when it fills up, it becomes very heavy. And the walls add to that heaviness. The old walls add to the weight. So that's included. Whereas the legs, which are just little things, and the space in between them is not usually filled up, that does not count as part of the 3 amas. And the rim on the top also, the same. So that is the shear. 3 by 1 of the actual box or whatever it is. Harehem ka'oil, something like that, has a din of an oil. The yesh behem binyan v'stira, and they have the halachas of binyan and stira, like karka, not like keilim. The full halachas of binyan and stira. Lefikach, and therefore also you're not allowed to remove the doors from them. Yud Ches, I just finished Yud Ches. Okay, so let's give a practical example of this. Practical example is your refrigerator is this size, right? And definitely a house refrigerator is this size. Maybe an office refrigerator is smaller, I don't know. But the refrigerator in your house is definitely this size. So that has a din of karka. The door of your refrigerator might have these little bars that snap into place on the bottom, the doors to hold it in. And if those come out on Shabbos, you're not allowed to snap them back into place. Even though it's not very difficult to do, maybe it's not tight, maybe it is tight, I don't know, but it's definitely not a binyan with umnus. You don't need special tools. They make it pretty simple. But because it's considered connected to the ground, even a small type of binyan like that is considered binyan. To move the refrigerator? I don't think so. There's been a muktzah that anything that has a kviyus makam, anything that has a fixed place, becomes muktzah in that place.
It's electric, not electric.
No, I mean, it is electric, obviously. No, I don't think so. I don't think electricity is the issue. I think it's that it's made to sit in its place. A table is not like that. People move tables.
Something fell behind.
Same table. I have my table. I've never some big. Move it. Not really much for it.
But you could if you wanted to. I mean, it's not made to not move. Yeah, but fridges are made to leave in the same place. Tables, I mean, maybe you didn't have to move it because you didn't have to move it. But tables, it's expected to move if you need, you don't want to put a separate table, the position. Yeah, I don't know if the table is called a kriyas makom, unless it's actually a very heavy table, like a fancy schmancy table that's actually so heavy that you barely move it. Maybe that is like that.
I bought a table in 2000, Rabbi, with 4 people to remove the leg. It's stone for the shell. It's like 4 people in it. It's about 200 pounds.
Okay, so that's something else. That has a
You cannot
kriyas
move
makom.
it. He never moved.
So that's a kriyas makom. That's a kriyas makom.
So we bought it in 99 or 2000. It's not over there. Forever. I made a mistake.
You need to get something behind it. You're allowed to move it. Something
I mean, the tzarech makaymai. When you move something that has a kriyas makom, the tzarech makaymai. I don't remember.
You need 4 rabbanim to move it. Nobody will move it.
And Shin Ches is discussed. Okay, he has an interesting chiddush here in the Alter Rebbe, in the English translation. He says, for this reason, it is also forbidden to remove one drawer from a chest of drawers.
Because they're tracking it.
Because the drawer, the chest has this shear, usually has the shear of 1 by 1 by 3. So the whole drawer is considered like a mechubel karka thing. And then if you remove it, even though it's not professional, it's not very tight, but that's like stira, and putting it back is like, no, not the drawer, the chest, the whole chest. The whole chest, this is part of the chest.
If it's smaller than
that you're allowed to, let's say, not just in Walmart, just plastic drawer 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Right.
Kids put toys, sometimes they take all things out and then put that, right?
That I think yes, because it's not tight. Can't feel it tight.
It's me to move it up. It's a basket. Yeah. It's a mean to be,
Certainly, if it's meant to be taken in and out, it's okay.
Because they play with all the toys.
Yeah. Okay. Number 19. The Alter Rebbe has a lot to say here, more than the Mechaber. That's why I'm reading so much of this before we go back to the Mechaber. Lo yamru she'en binyan l'stir b'keilim elo binyan garura l'stir is binyan garura ki go netim asadelas me'akeilim achzarasa she'en achzara binyan gomer. Oh, you know what? I think this does relate to something in the Mechaber. Let's relate to the fifth test in the Mechaber. Let's read it first, and then we'll go back to the Mechaber. You test in the Alter Rebbe, and we're going to get to the Mechaber in a little bit. They only said there's no binyan and stir b'keilim by an inferior. He calls it unsubstantial act of building or demolishing. Like taking off the door of a keilim and putting it back, because that's not a complete act of building. Because it's still separate from the keilim. It's not attached there strongly. You could remove it easily. Taking it out is also not like actually demolishing a real building. So too, any keilim that is made of different parts, if it is not attached tight, taking it apart would not be demolishing. Nor would putting it back be considered building. But a person who makes a keli from the beginning, that is binyan. A person who breaks a complete keli, that is demolishing a real building. And is chayev for demolishing. A person who sticks the handle into the axe, a wood into an axe to make it into a handle, is chayev for building. A person who connects any two pieces of wood, whether he used a screw or a nail, or he stuck one to the other directly until it became connected, this is considered a boina and it's chayiv. A person takes it apart, it's considered soisim, being numbered just like destroying and demolishing a real thing.
To prevent something to break, also considered like an appointment.
Like what?
Let's say the bathroom rod going to fall.
I'm sorry.
In the bathroom, the rod going to fall.
The wood is
just going to live on it. It's not like attachable.
The wood is a mixture, right?
Let's say it's not.
Let's say you put a broom, I don't know, whatever, something. You would consider it as a boina. It didn't fall yet.
We're actually going to discuss a similar case coming up. We're going to discuss a similar case coming up, where we'll see that it's not binyan. We're going to see soon. Yeah, we're going to see soon that it's not binyan. Okay, so when it comes to, this is what we said before, binyan gamor and stira gemura does exist with keilim. Now, again, for your information, this is the main opinion in halacha. It's the opinion of Tosfos. It's the opinion of the Rambam, at least the way the Mechaber learns Pshat of the Rambam. We're going to get to all of this in Shin Yud Daled. It's not the opinion of Rashi. And some poskim paskin like Rashi. So it's just for your information. But this is what most of the poskim hold.
I'm telling the size that you know allowed to move it.
Yeah, move it.
If it's bigger than more than
I didn't say that I'm moving it.
moving.
I didn't say that I'm moving it. I didn't say that. I said it has the din of karka in terms of building and demolishing. Binyan and stira. That even a small binyan or small stira is a chiyuv midaraisa.
Back then used to be big huts. How much big? They can fill up the mass of water of 1 by 1 by 2 easily.
So
Putting the cover on and off is like straight.
cover on and off is not like binyan. That's like opening the door to your house. That's the way you use the pot. That's no problem. Okay, so again, according to most poskim, if you do a strong active binyan to a strong active binyan gomer. So for example, you attach the handle of the axe with the metal of the axe, or any similar type of thing. You actually fashion a keilim that is binyan, and taking it apart would be stira.
Like you touch the handle from the door.
No, that's attached to the ground. That's for sure. But I'm saying even something that's not attached to the ground, but nevertheless, it is a strong connection. You connect two things strong. That's binyan even b'kelim.
Like the wood of a patik, you know.
Exactly. Okay. That being said,
I have a question here. In the paragraph,
yes, go ahead.
where he says, when one sets out to make a new implement, does that new implement have to be, the paragraph before it was talking about these like loose keilim. So if you're putting together the loose keilim for the first time, would that be Easter?
You mean Makabe Patish?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's like you have like a some sort of like teapot, and but it has a loose lid. So if since it's loose, you could take it off and put it on, I guess, after you got it. But if you get it you take it out of the box for the first time, and then you put the lid on, would that be this case?
I mean, a lid is not considered building regardless, because the lid is understood that it's not there permanently, and when you,
I mean, it has a hinge on it. That's the case I was thinking about.
a lid with a hinge,
Yeah.
but it's not tight. You're saying?
Yeah.
It is an interesting question. He's asking about a kli shel prakim. If it has, kli shel prakim is a kli made of parts that's made to take apart and put together, which we're going to discuss soon. Some are matir, depending on how tight it is. But if you do it the first time, is that mak of a patish? Could be. I'm not sure. What do you say?
It's not touching the ground. If this one is moved,
Perfect example.
it's
Tavi.
moved because Amer is muktzeh.
Tavi.
Right?
Perfect example. This is a nice example here. We have a pair of glasses. The handles, whatever they're called, the sticks, whatever they're called, the sticks on the side of the glasses, they're pretty tight, connected to the glasses itself. If these would come off, the little screws here, right, on both sides, little screws that hold them in place, to screw that back in,
It's one.
would be an Issur D'Oraisa, absolutely, boina.
This is just the fact that
Boina,
it's still there.
But it's still attached.
still boina.
Wobbles.
Still boina.
It's still there.
Doesn't make a difference. It's not tight. You're making it tight.
So you can use it with women.
Use it no tight, but don't bone it.
Definitely Asr. Definitely Asr. I'm not sure if it's D'Oraisa or not.
You can put something else on there.
My understanding that making it tight is D'Oraisa. If it's not connected at all and you connect it loose, that's only Rabbanon, because you're making a functional thing, but it's not really tight. It's a binyan barua.
But the keli is a keli. They've like made a new keli. By tightening it.
You made it connected properly. You made it connected properly. No, you connected it properly so that it's a real functional keli. Until then, it's shvach.
Tighten it out. A keli, just something. No, with the finger, I don't know. Right away, I don't know, with a nail.
With a spray.
Not close.
I mean, generally, that's something you need a keli to do. Generally, to be able to put it back, to be able to put a screw back tight.
No problem, just tight. It's loose.
I'm saying generally to make a screw tight in such a way that it doesn't come out. Generally, you need a screwdriver. Generally, figure out a way to do without a screwdriver, it's still chayav. It is a connection that usually needs a tool. You see what I'm saying?
Yes. I do that, and not in Shabbat. Sometimes you go like this and it's tight. But in Shabbat it's bone, right?
Yeah, it would seem. Yeah. 1 second. We're going to see later, just by the way, that even if you do it loose, it's still an Issur D'Rabbanan because you might do it tight. You understand? We'll see that later.
So
Question.
here, you didn't create any new keli. Okay? The keli is still there, it's just the example is asking to fall, to prevent someone to fall, the same target is going to be okay. So what?
There you didn't make it any tighter. You just put something up, it shouldn't fall. You didn't change it. You just prevented it from getting worse. Here, you took it loose, you made it tight. Okay.
The cover of the mezuzah fell. You're allowed to
That's actually discussed clearly because the mezuzah is kubel karka. You cannot put it back on, even if it's just to snap it on. No big deal. You can't do it. Still same thing.
Plastic is the
Same thing. No. No.
What is this case here where it says, similarly, one who breaks is totally intact?
1 second, just 1 second, Daniel. You have to find it. Because I saw clearly you're not allowed to. And the logic is like that because it's part of the house. It's connected to the house, and even though it's not tight, but when it comes to binyan and karka, it doesn't have to be. So that's what the 39 Malacha says. He doesn't make any other opinion, and that's logical to me. But if you have another opinion, I'd like to see it. Go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So when one breaks an implement that was totally intact, so that's considered demolishing the structure in a complete sense. So like.
1 second. One second. Whoever's not 1 second. There is a lot of noise.
Yeah,
Whoever's okay, Daniel, go ahead.
Okay, so if in the case where one who breaks an implement that was totally intact, and that's demolishing, is that like dropping a vase, or is it really just disassembling something? Is that when you say demolish, it seems like a real act of destruction, but I'm just trying to picture that, what that is.
We are going to learn about a keilim that is made to assemble and disassemble. Kli shel prakim. So maybe let's save your question until after we learn that. Maybe it'll get answered.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's it talking about in this case then? Similarly, one who breaks the envelope that was totally intact. What's he talking about there? It's right after 70.
Right after 70, a person who breaks, someone who breaks an implant is totally intact. For example, if he takes this glasses, like we said before, totally intact, and he breaks it open, he unscrews it, takes it apart. So the same thing with any implement that is fine. I mean, even not to do it so clearly, just to take it and to smash it.
Oh, okay.
That's a stira. I mean, obviously, if he smashes it, he's not doing it for the purpose of rebuilding it. So that's not going to be a da'iraisa, but it would still be a d'rabbanan.
Okay, that helps. Thanks.
I can't mute only one. Can you mute only one? Let me try. Let me see. Mute microphone. Can I? Okay, guess not. Okay, let's continue. Continuing in the Alter Rebbe, actually continuing the Machaber. We are going on to Seif Vav in the Machaber. Mita Shel Prakim. Shin Yud Gimel. Shin Yud Gimel. Mita Shel Prakim. A bed that is made of parts. Asur lahachzira ulahadka. It is forbidden to put it back together and tighten it. If he did it tight, chayav chatas. Okay, so one second. This is a very important halach. You have a bed, and the way you use the bed is obviously when it's put together. But you also want to be able to move it and take it with you to your next destination. They talk in the Gemara about these people who would travel from place to place, doing their work, which was transient work, and they would have these beds that they would take apart and take with them to the new place. So those beds, if they would be made in such a way that they're put together tight, that is a chiyuv chatas to put together, even though they're planning to take it apart later. But nevertheless, for now, they want it together, and it's tight, and it's a chiyuv chatas. It's a chiddush. In other words, we said before that when something is tight, but that's the way you use it, so that's not considered boina. Like when you screw and unscrew the caps of keilim, like what you were saying about the paper, paper towel container. But here, this is the way you use it is to sleep on it. You don't use it by taking it apart. You use it by sleeping on it. So it's good when it's put together. Problem is you can't transport it that way. So you take it apart to transport it, then you put it back together. But every time you put it back together, you're creating a functioning keilim that functions when it's together. So that is a chiyuv chatas. Question. Okay, so
you allow that, say, if you want to move it to another room, but you have to fold it to another room.
Okay, so here's the thing. This we actually don't discuss in this Siman, but we are going to discuss it in Shin Yud Dalet, that if all of the components remain connected at all times, and you just fold it or unfold it, which is what it is with a pack and play, which is what it is by a stroller, which is what it is by these tables right here.
You have to move the bottom. To move it out.
No, that's just a mattress.
No, that's just a mattress. That's not even connected. That just sits there. But the parts that you actually do tight and loose and all that, those remain connected all the time. That it says clearly is allowed. That's why you're allowed to unfold tables, chairs, all of that. So yeah, that's the heter for that.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
There's some bed you don't need to screws. It's like hook like that, and it's sitting like that. And the other side, the same thing, floor like that.
It just sits.
Yeah, just go like this, and the leg for this like that. You go like this, and it stop like this. You don't screw, no nothing.
Ulai, we're going to see now about something that is not tight and cannot be tight. We're going to see about it right now.
Okay.
It doesn't apply to the stroller. That's something that the stroller can't get over.
Oh, that's the cover. That's the cover. That's because of an oil, the CS oil.
It's not the stroller itself.
Yeah, correct. That's a machlokes too, but that's just the cover.
We're not concerned with making that up when we open the table and
No, because the purpose of the table is not to protect the whatever it is underneath. Although there are details to that, but that's the general concept. Yeah.
You can't say before that time with the bed and take. We're traveling Shabbat to take a bed.
No, you didn't travel on Shabbat, but you arrived Friday afternoon. You came late. You took a shower. By the time you got out, the sun set, and your bed is not put together. Now what? Can't do it. Can't do
Those
it.
kind of beds, just curiosity. What do they do? How do they sleep on top of that bed? It was a built-in mattress, and it was built in normally something soft.
I imagine that it was a frame that they took together with straps, and they put the frame and straps together, and they probably would use blankets or something like a mattress or something. That's my guess. I'm not really sure. Okay. So, v'imhi darka liyas refuya. If it is usually loose.
I don't think you finished reading it, the first part. After refuo muter.
That's what I'm reading right now.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
V'imhi darka liyas refuya. If it is usually loose, muter lechatchila, it's permissible even in the first place. I'm reading the Mechaber and the Ramah together. As long as you do not do it tight. So the implication is, by the way, that it's not enough for it to be loose. It has to be dark aliyas refuya. It has to be usual for it to be loose. All right, this is the Ramah's addition.
Why wouldn't it be the opposite? Why wouldn't it be dark aliyas refuya? If you do it refuya, it's the rice.
No. No, because the whole point is that when it comes to keilim, it's only a binyan gomer that's chayiv. A binyan gerua is pater. No, it's not. If it's taka, if it's tight, that's real binyan. Anything that's loose is not real binyan for keilim. Yeah.
So you could put this bed together if it's loose.
Significant act. When it comes to keilim, it has to be a significant act.
That's the way of the bed.
No, the way of the bed is not to have a binyan gomer. If it's loose, that means it's not a strong connection. That's a weak kind of binyan. Okay, some things are made to be weak. That's okay, but that doesn't make it a binyan gomer. I'm sorry, Daniel.
No, I think you answered me there. That's okay.
Okay. So the point is, you cannot do it tight. So 2 points here. You cannot do it tight yourself. And if it's a type of bed that is normally tight, you can't do it even loose because you might forget and do it tight. That's what I was saying before about the glasses. You wouldn't be allowed to even screw it in a little bit. It's Rabbanan because you may forget and screw it in the whole way. So that's what that is. What about?
It sounds like this bed is not as strong as glasses. In other words, you can put this bed together as long it'll be just kind of rickety or something like that, or maybe it's like unfolding a cot on Shabbos.
Well, if it's tight, then it's a problem. If it's loose and it's meant to be loose, then it's okay.
But what does it mean loose? What is that? I mean, is the bed going to fall apart, or is it? I'm trying to picture what it is.
I don't have any pictures.
Can you unfold the cot on
I'm
Shabbat?
asking about the exact definition of loose versus tight.
Maybe if you can shake it up a little bit, it will come out. No, he says no. Sounds good.
How much you have to shake? Because
Being tight, you'll never be able to shake
it's
it out.
it's dropped in, it's deep enough, you don't have to shake the water.
Loose will come out.
You can have something that goes in, on the bottom, like a coupling, for instance. So you can have it in the turn, it's loose.
Not loose. Not loose because you can pull it as much as you want. So
It's loose in your garment.
It's loose in the slit. Not in the garment. It's loose and slit.
Yeah, but it's made to work that way. So I imagine there's no problem. Because you're not tightening anything. You're treating it a little piece.
Makeshift and flimsy. That's how he uses it here in the Ternam Malachas. He doesn't give a very a strong definition. He just says flimsy. Makeshift and flimsy is rabbinically forbidden. He doesn't give a very strong definition. But examples he says of what is d'oraisa: screwing a broomstick into a broom, replacing securely a loose chair leg, assembling or repairing a model airplane or similar toy, assembling a metal shelf unit or other furniture, replacing the wheel of a stroller, carriage, or tricycle that came off, repairing a watch, assembling a child's tricycle or bicycle. All of these things are considered d'oraisa because they are generally tight. So I don't have a clear picture in my head of how these beds worked and what exactly is the definition of tight or loose.
I was just thinking now that maybe it's like Jenga blocks where you're like building a tower by just putting.
No. Jenga blocks are not even connected. That's not an issue. We're talking about it is connected, but it's just a loose connection. Sorry, Shmuley.
You have a bottom thing that turns, so that's a little, so the chair doesn't run. You can turn it.
All right.
Is that a problem? Normally, you don't make it tight, but you could make it tight.
Right.
You have usually 2 or 4.
Right, I know what you mean, yeah. So you make it tighter or looser depending on if the chair is thing or not. Could be that's considered the function of that thing, that it's made to make tighter or looser.
Falls up, you can put it back in.
That is not so simple because its function is not to take it in and out. The function is that when it's in, you make it tighter or looser. It's not a normal function to actually put it in the first time. That could be a problem. Could be.
See, you just hold it and you slide it like that, and that's it. It's like this one. It's going this one. I a simple one, but like that. It's very easy. These two, the wood is going like that. It's going inside, and it's just sit like that. That's it.
Right. But that's strong. That's attached strong. They make it so that you can wedge it in.
No, it's just hook like that, exactly like that.
But it's a hook.
Inside.
It's a hook.
The same thing like that. Go inside and just sit like that. That's it.
Right. But it's attached tight. It becomes attached tight. They make it so that it can be easy to put together, but it actually becomes attached tight. Yeah.
No, it's go. If you don't put it inside, then you sit just like that.
I'm saying, well, when you put it in, because it has a hook,
yes.
so it becomes attached tight. You can't just.
I think it's got tight.
That's a problem.
That's a problem.
There's a point of Adam. Let's say the person sits and says,
Drabanan not. Drabanan.
So you're allowed to?
There is boina ba'adam.
Sometimes there's a kids, maybe the smell like the artists, just dislocated, you're allowed to.
We're going to see in Shin Chavches maybe that there is the concept of boina when it comes to a person's skeletal structure. Yesh kazeh mufsag shasur. But if it's going to cause permanent damage to not put it back, you can put it back anyway. Okay, so we continue. Still in the Mechaber. If there's a cup that's made of pieces, they used to make these cups that were made of rings. So they would be like, you put them together, they still have them, but now they have them, they stay together. Even when they're collapsed them, they're still connected. Then they would have it made of different parts that you would completely take apart and put back together.
And you can put water in it?
I think so, yeah.
What are you referring to?
Kois shel prakim. They used to have cups that were made of different parts that they would put together. And nowadays they have collapsible cups, but now even when they're collapsed, they're still connected. So that's mutter.
What would you do with that?
Sorry?
If it was not connected, how would they connect?
They fit into each other. You could take them apart and then they would put them back together.
The 3, 4, 5, 6.
Very good.
Amazing. Probably the bottom is
Something like that.
It's also a ring like that.
I think it's basically the same thing as they have the collapsible cup. Only difference is collapsible cup has a thing at the bottom, so you can't, the pieces don't come apart. But if you look at, you have rings, and each ring is a little bigger, so you slide it on, and you slide them on. So the bottom is narrow, the top is much wider.
Yeah.
Like a fishing rod, the stick, it's coming up, some similar to this.
No, it's like a ring that's smaller and another ring that's bigger.
So like a fishing rod, it's exactly like that, small, big, and you can open a telescope. Similar to that, like ring.
I mean, these rings would come apart, and then you'd put them back together to make.
If you're going the other way, it will come apart, but or this way, it will not.
Okay.
That's how probably it's.
The point is that according to the first opinion the Mechaber brings, you're allowed to. Some say you're not allowed to. The Alter is going to explain the reason for both opinions shortly. If it's normally tight, even though now it's loose, it is asr. So basically, tight is a problem. If it's normally tight, it's a problem even if it's loose. If it's normally loose and it's actually loose, is okay. And Kol Shel Prakim, for some reason, there's two opinions. It doesn't say what the reason for the two opinions is. However, the Alter Rebbe does elaborate. Here we go. Chaf. Afilu v'chlisha prakim. Im taka prakim dainu shivka b'choizek b'nyin shetzorach. Ches. Chaf. Va'afilu. B'chlisha prakim, even assembling an implement made with component parts. In taka prakim, if you attach them firmly, he forcefully inserts them in a way that requires strength and professional expertise. Hari's binyan gomer should be that is considered absolute binyan. It's considered binyan if it's made to last for a long time. If it's not made to last a long time, then it's considered a binyan arai and it's forbidden by rabbinic law.
You know this Chinese movies that make from wood, one big and then each of them another small.
Russian.
Which Russian? Babushka? I don't know what they call it. You know what I mean?
Mutter. Yeah. It's not hard. It's not tight.
Yeah, but it's wood.
It's not tight. Not tight. Russian dolls. The main is come up yet. Unless it's not made to last at all. Moshe's bar as will be explained. Okay, I'm going to read the note that he has here. This ruling has ramifications with regard to children playing with Lego. I'm reading from a note in the English version of the Alter Shulchan Aruch. There is reason for leniency with regard to structures that are meant to be assembled and taken apart frequently, as the usual case when younger children build. Lego is tight. It's pretty tight, but it's made to take apart and put back together. So there's reason to argue that it should be allowed because putting it apart and taking it
it's not permanently.
Taking it apart and putting it back together, besides the fact it's not permanent. The beds of the traveling salesman was also not permanent. But when they put it apart, it was just to be able to take it somewhere. When they put it together, oh, now it's a bed. When it comes to Lego, putting it apart and taking it back together is all just the way you use Lego. You use Lego by playing with it. You understand? So it's not, you're not really making a keilim. It's nothing. It's just a toy. It's just a game. Understand? So it is a machlokes haposkim. This argument. This question is, can an adult play Lego? So the idea is that this is a chiddush, this idea that because you're actually taking it apart and putting it back together all the time, that it's considered the way of using it. It's a chiddush. Not everybody agrees with it, and that's why the Shmir Shabbos says that an adult should not play Lego, or even a kid over bar mitzvah. A halachic adult should not play with Lego. Same thing. There you have the issue also of writing, because you're actually making a picture. Making a picture is like writing on Shabbos.
Who's lenient? But this is not.
The Shmir Shabbos says that you can be lenient for kids.
No, for adults.
Who's lenient for adults?
That's Svara that Rav used.
Yeah, the Svara that the Rav uses, the Svara that I mentioned, the Shmir Shabbos says you can rely on that Svara for kids. Who says that Svara? Is that your question?
For adults.
The one that says that Svara says it for adults too. The Shmir Shabbos says that kids can rely on it. Who actually says it? Define it.
Is magnetized the same thing as Legos?
I don't think so. I think magnetized is less, because that's not tight. I think it does.
It's enough to hold things together. I mean, it's not loose. It's not tight, but it's not loose.
That's true.
I'm sure if you push over Legos, they'd be much less prone to falling and breaking.
Exactly.
Magnetized.
Exactly. It's definitely something that can never be tight. You understand? It's definitely not tight. It's not so loose, but it's not tight, and it can never be tight. We're going to see that that's basically the argument about koshel prakim is about something that's not quite tight, not quite loose, but it can never be tight. So the keilim say, well, even though it's a little bit tight, but because it can never be really tight, there's no gzera, so it should be allowed. Question? No.
When I want to leave, it's 5 minutes before our meeting.
Should break for Ma'ariv. Did we finish this? Let me just finish this. There are also ramifications with regard to adding to or removing a leaf from a table of the like. There's no difficulty if one intends to undo the change over the course of the Shabbos. If one intends for the change to remain for an extended time, there's a question about whether it's permitted to add or remove the leaf on Shabbos. The following subsection mentions this point. Okay, let's leave out that discussion because that's not something I went into. Yes, Mitzvah Shem, and I think even start Shini Dalet. How much more do we have? Aleph, Chav Beis, Chav Gimel, Dalet, Chav Hei. I would like to start Shini Dalet also tomorrow. All right, my friends, have a good night. It was nice to have you all here. We had a full crowd on the computer. Thank you for joining us. We'll continue tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night. Bye.